Hello, hello, beautiful community. How is everyone doing? Um, Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Is it Wednesday already? It is Wednesday. Oh my God. The week is flying by. The week always flies by when you have fun, right? So I can't believe it's already Wednesday. Um, I'm personally excited. I'm getting ready to go on a cruise. Has anyone been on a cruise before? I'm taking a cruise from New York to Bermuda starting tomorrow. So I am excited to pack a little bit later on today for that. So as you guys are logging in, let me know if you've been on a cruise before and how was your experience. It's going to be my third time. I love cruises. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Nika. I love cruises for the simple container that it's a little bit different from taking a plane and also being in the ocean. Really, for me as a Cancer sign, just really spark a lot of meditative, reflective, nostalgic feelings. So that's the reason why I love cruises. Melissa, let me know if you've been on a cruise before. Nika, I don't know if you've been on one, but let me know. Let's chat, have a conversation. So I never been to Bermuda. The last cruise I took was stopping in the Bahamas. So I never been to Bermuda yet, and I'm so excited to see it. And then it stops in Antigua, so that's also really exciting because I've never been there. So exploring all these beautiful islands is gonna be really fun. So I'm gonna fill you guys in with content from the cruise experience. So that's coming up. But today I'm going to talk to you guys regarding trauma and the really important effect that it plays in entrepreneurship. If you're building a small or big business, it doesn't matter. I always say entrepreneurship and business and personal development is so interconnected, and the bigger the business, the more we want to make an impact, the more um, we are faced with our own trauma and our own blockages, our own mindset shifts that we need to make, whether it's from childhood programming. you know, we all know sort of some of the main reasons of what that comes from. But most importantly, I wanted to specify how I see this show up in entrepreneurship. Because even though I do high level business strategy, of course, mindset is so important, and a lot of trauma blockages come up for my clients through my work, right? So, really being efficient or really being aware, first of all, in how to help people through their traumas and overcoming them is really an important part in being a business strategist, right? Because of the way that they show up. So, one of the ways that I've seen trauma show up in entrepreneurship is when we are creating what I call business models. When you are creating our programs, a course, a membership, whatever your business model is that you are, your offers pretty much that you're creating, it does come up a lot when you are deciding the pricing for your offers, right? A lot of trauma comes up with that. A lot of self-esteem values show up there. A lot of self-worth, lack of self-worth, I should say, issues show up there when we want to price our offers. And as a result of that, of course, most people underprice and undervalue their brand and their offers. So that's the one way trauma shows up for entrepreneurs. Another way, which is really big, is visibility, right? As entrepreneurs, we have to show up. We have to show up to make the impact. Otherwise, if no one knows about us, then how are we going to make this impact, right? So visibility is a big one. When we have to show up live on video just like this and be vulnerable sometimes, or share about our personal life, or share about our feelings, our ups, our downs, our emotional roller coasters of a journey that this is. A lot of that stems a lot of trauma for people, right? a lot of blockages as far as why you don't want to show up, what other people think, the judgment you'll receive, right? Um, so all of that shows up when you're increasing your visibility. As I said, it could show up with content. It could show up when you are speaking, being interviewed, making an impact in other people's communities. It shows up in all these different ways. So that's another way that um, all these events, I say, trigger our trauma. So, and then another way that I've seen trauma really affect entrepreneurs is really with human conversations, with conversations that we need to have in our business, right? Your business is only as big as the network that you have built and the conversations that you are having, right? So a lot of trauma shows up when we have a lot of barriers over we don't want to sound salesy. We don't want to speak about our offers. We don't want to, um, we don't usually know how to, a lot of times. That causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of entrepreneurs. We don't know how to build valuable relationships that are going to lead to, I always say, two main goals in business growth: brand building and client attraction. So that's another really a way, big way that I've seen that these show up for people. These are the main three. Of course, there's a lot more, but I just wanted to bring you guys the main themes of what I've seen when trauma shows up. Now, my personal experience, of course, I'm always overcoming something. This is the joy of also being in a business or in a journey that you're always evolving. I always say that your business you will evolve. And because you want to be the best version of yourself to grow your business, right? And to grow yourself, first of all, you need to be aware that you're always evolving. And the process of evolvement always brings new trauma to the surface, right? We get triggered by certain things, and we must manage that, which is so important. Because if we don't manage that, then obviously we are not going to unravel our inner potential, or put our gifts out there in the world, really do meaningful work, really make a big impact. We can't do that because we're going to be as big as pretty much the stories we're telling ourselves and all the beliefs that are blocking us from these traumas. So that's sort of how that really affects everything. Hello, Vidat. Thanks for joining the live today. So one of the really my personal journey with traumas, as I say, I'm always tackling and staying very aware on the next level of impact that I want to make and how new traumas come to the surface. But from my past experience, I've had to overcome a lot of trauma, especially with visibility, right? No problem. Thanks for being here. So, especially with visibility, when I was programmed and wired that you can't be sincere, you can't be vulnerable, because if you do that, you get hurt, right? If you are sincere with people, then they might take that as a weakness and utilize that to really hurt you. So that was just one of my stories that, of course, now I've turned it around 100%. For me now, Impact's all about serving people and humanity. But in order to get to the 360-degree transformation, I would say it was a process. It was a process of development for sure. So that was one of the main one for me, especially when showing up on with all the content I create. And with the big visibility, brand visibility that I am always going after with my business. Because for me, visibility equals impact. The more people could, hear the message that I have to share, or the message of my brand, the more impact I can make, right? So it's directly correlated to that. So that's, hello, Alberta. Nice to see you here. So, a lot of work that I've done with business growth is a lot of therapy, what I call positive therapy, That's why I have been trained in a lot of different methods of therapy that I've helped myself and also so many of my clients. I don't know if you guys have heard of EMDR. I know everyone has heard of NLP. So these are just some examples of all the different therapies that I have included, or tools, I should say, that I've included in my tool belt, because this is such an important piece of the growing a business with branding, marketing, sales, systems, team, right? All these different main components, foundational pieces that I help people structure in their businesses. So, mindset and traumas and blocks and personal development is just part of that journey with anything that we're trying to build. So that's kind of been my experience with that. Yes, Dorothy saying visibility. Yes, big one. Um, EMDR. It's I have my. Oh, give me 1 minute. I'll show you guys. EMDR therapy. It's rapid eye movement therapy. I don't know. You could Google it. This is my library here of my tools and all the trainings and courses that I've taken over time to invest in the value I really bring to the marketplace and the way that I impact people, right? If you want to speak the language of business or if you want to speak the language of everyday, right? So becoming a valuable entrepreneur and adding value to the marketplace with what you do is, I believe, the most important part of you making a big impact, right? Because the more skilled you are, the more you are always learning and growing and investing, the more you can provide value to your people, and you have a competitive edge in the marketplace, right? That really helps you stand out from other people that are doing what you're doing, right? So yeah, so that's it, Dorothy. That's one of my methods. But of course, there is so many in at this point they become second nature, right? I know there's a lot of coaches, healers in my community, and trauma healers specifically. So I'm sure that you guys are very in tune with this deep work, as I feel that that is really, really important. But there's so many other ones, and not to even mention, obviously, the way that I have built my questions over time to really unravel, bring out the things that are blocking people, but also the things that are going to help people in really shining their big light to the world. I had a beautiful call yesterday with, oh my gosh, name. If there's therapy for remembering names, I need it. I'm just calling it out publicly. Because it was such a beautiful conversation and soul with one of my members in my community, where, it's like you hear the impact on the other side of how you've been able to show up, and because of your visibility and showing up, you've been able to impact someone else. On the way that she described on sort of the gift that I think we all have a specific gift, the gift that at least I personally impacted her by helping shine the light with people, holding up a mirror for all their gifts and all their potential, which a lot of times we don't see personally, right? We need someone else to do that for us. So that all shows up, but when you do hear that impact, of course, then you're like, okay, it's all worth it. So it really motivates you to become even a more impactful problem solver or value adder. I just made up that word. Value add to the marketplace or to anywhere you really are, right? So yeah, authenticity, unique for sure. I enjoy your content. It's very beneficial. Thanks for this clarification. I'm so glad. This is why I do it, right, Dorothy? That's why I do it. So when I hear it, for me, it's all like food for thought, and food for more inspirational, educational, entertaining content that is gonna make an impact, right? So that's really the why behind it. My sister has been put been put before COVID. It must be a better one now in terms of hygienic concerns. Wish you a wonderful trip. Yeah, I hear we have to do a COVID test. So I'm going to do one later, a rapid one, 24 hours before I get on the cruise. So that's what's happening with that here in New York, Nika. So thanks for mentioning that as well. Yeah, to heal trauma. Yes, I use my skills with languages. I have English speaking and German, Spanish. The use of languages is fun too as well. Great tool. I love that you said that, Dorothy. I have a thought about languages. Yeah, we can heal trauma by rewriting our past and through many other techniques. Yep, for sure. My cruise is leaving from New York to Bermuda. So that's the destination, the final destination. And then we're going to stop in Antigua. And then there's another stop. I need to check the itinerary. There's another stop. So, but the final destination is in Bermuda. So keep you guys posted on some nice photos, beautiful photos of nature and the island. So I had a thought about languages. I did actually recently just posted something about the top 10 languages that are used in the world right now, obviously with English being the top language. Another really great way to add value to the marketplace today with the global economy and the global business world that we're living in, or entrepreneurship in general, right? Because I always say entrepreneurship is the future. Purpose-driven entrepreneurs will change the world because of our reasons why we do what we do and the impact we want to make and put our work out there in the world and make a big contribution and impact. But understanding and learning as many skills as you can opens you up to more communities, right? I always say that when you grow, when you decide to show up and grow your business, in today's world, diversity is so important, and the way that globally we've been opened up to so many, we can reach anyone really at any end of the world, right? So, and when you're building your business, if you are natively from somewhere, if you're born somewhere, I'm natively Albanian, you're automatically going to attract your community. That's niche. That's more niche, right? That's your people, I say. That's what I say about my native community. It's my people, because it is, right? You do feel like when you want to make a big impact, you sort of tend to go home. And that doesn't have to be just, natively where you're born. It could be the neighborhood you're part of, right? Because when you build community and make an impact, you always want to start, I always say, yourself, family, your little community around you, and then your native community, and then you expand. So definitely learning more languages. I love that you speak German, Dorothy. I think that's a whole other community that you could tap into, right? Because we do get attracted to things that we have in common, right? So if we have something in common, that is how we unite as human beings. So that's where community lies. I did make another post today about what I think is the chain reaction of what I call the 3 C's: connection, community, and collaboration. So we are in this era right now, and this is just going to go even further. Oh, by the way, since I am, of course I dropped my phone. Since I'm here, I'm reading this amazing book. If I stop dropping my phone here. Here it is. I don't know if you guys have read this. Or if you put your hands on it. Yeah, Generations, The History of American Future, 1584 to 2069, William Strauss and Neil Howe. This book describes a lot of how generations and cycles keep repeating themselves. So this is my read for the month. I read a book a month right now. That's my goal. Besides the 1 hour a day education that I always do. But anyway, that book explains, it kind of connects with what I was trying to say, that we are only gonna go further into the era of connection, community, and collaboration. I'm so, so glad. This is the best era, I think, because we're coming out of traditional competition. Technology is advancing. Globally, we're expanding. We're connecting with people all over the world. Communities are uniting. Diversity is the new connection, right? And we really connect with one another through values as well. So really learning more than one language, I think it's a really great value you can add to your tool set, if you want to call it your life tool set that you bring to the table, because it opens you up more globally to more people that you can help. So speaking of community, Facebook has changed its algorithms. So if you are in my Facebook community group, open up the notifications. It has changed from the right side on top of the group to the left side. So go up there, open up the communications, the notifications, and change it from highlights only to all posts. So you make sure you see everything that we're doing inside the community that will benefit you. Because right now, Facebook is not showing a lot of posts inside communities unless you intentionally go in and turn on notifications to all posts so that you could see all the posts inside the community. I did this recently as a project over the weekend. I cleaned up my groups, my Facebook groups that I'm part of, very intentional, on purpose, on intention. The communities that I'm part of, I cleaned out all the communities that don't serve me anymore, don't serve my mission, my impact, my vision. And I only stayed with those communities that I know are proceeding with what I'm accomplishing and what I'm trying to build, right? So I would suggest you do the same. Clean up your Facebook group communities. Only stay with the communities that align with you and your values and where you're trying to go. And make sure you turn on all notifications, because when you do that, you get an alert when you open up your Facebook profile or your Facebook account of what's happening in those communities. Because the other part of, if you want to be a community member, if you want to be a good community member, you must spend time in the communities. You must spend time engaging, serving, helping, right? So that you could build meaningful relationships. It's not enough that you just overembark into a million communities and you never see their posts, you don't engage with them, and then you make a story around what these communities are not helpful to me. You have to give before you take. Just always remember that. So that's another, call it a strategy, call it a tip, whatever you would like, but go in and clean up your Facebook group communities. Turn on all notifications for those groups, from highlights to all posts, so that you can get notifications on your alerts and you have a chance to see what's being posted and how to actually network and connect intentionally with the people inside those communities while you add value and you build relationships. That's really what it was meant to be anyway. We just get lost sometimes in all the information and we lose purpose of what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I hope that is going to help. Yes, Dorothy, algorithm for sure has changed. So Singh, thanks so much for joining. Alberta, Vedat, your confidence coach. I would love to know your name, your confidence coach. Melissa, thanks so much for joining. Dorothy, Neka, and everyone that is going to join after and watch this on replay. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope I served through my visibility effort today in going on live. If you are on Instagram and you are on Facebook, we'd love to have you join our community here, where we really honor the 3 C's of connection, community, and collaboration. It's on Facebook, called Badass Mission Driven Entrepreneurs. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Much love for everybody.